Hello, everyone. My name is Joe Allen, and we are here to provide you with some information in this session about Chaminade and our online program. We're using the Zoom format tonight. So if you're on in Zoom, I just want to direct you to the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you have any questions while we're doing things tonight, and we hope you do, just scroll on to the bottom there and you'll see a couple different ways you can interact with us. You can press the Q&A down there, or you can press the chat function. And either way, then you can type in your screen, and we're going to try and answer all questions tonight online for you. So again, if you have any technical issues too, you might want to use the chat function. That way, then we can try and have someone address that while we work through it. So today, again, I'm Joe Allen, and the other person who's going to be helping me out tonight is Shauna. Shauna, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Shauna Pimentel-Motooka. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Chaminade University. I've been here for 15 years already, so really looking forward to working with you through the application process.
Okay, so myself, again, Joe Allen, I'm a professor here in the Criminology and Criminal Justice Department, and I've been here for about 14 years now. So I'll be talking about the main stuff, and then Shauna will come in later. So what we're going to do tonight, what we wanted to do was talk a little bit about the online, Chaminade a little bit, the online environment and learning, and then Shauna will come on and talk about registration, admissions, and financial aid, and that kind of stuff. So first off, Chaminade is a school that has about 2,500 students. 1,100 of those are on ground. The remainder, 1,400, the majority are actually like you, potentially online or at our satellite campuses. We're a fully accredited university, and we offer online, in the online program, we offer 11 bachelor's degrees and 4 associate's degrees. In the bachelor's degrees, we offer in education, we have, let's see, four majors in education: early childhood education Montessori, elementary ed, and then secondary education. And then for those who are looking to go outside of education, we have business administration, criminology and criminal justice, English, historical and political studies, management, psychology, and religious studies. So that's a little bit about the school. In terms of online, if you're on tonight and you're watching this, if you're not familiar with the online, what does online mean? And there's a lot of misinformation out there. The online school environment is, what I think is good about it is it allows you to go to class when you're able to go to class. So we work around your schedule. School fits into your schedule. And I think if you think about it, just in practical terms, you get to kind of walk into class when you can. And maybe you can't stay as long as you'd like. Like in a regular traditional classroom, you're there for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours maybe, depending on the class. And then you're there for that time, and then you come back on prescripted days and times. From the online environment, you can come in and out when it fits into your schedule. So that's the one beauty of the online learning environment. It is something that I think is probably conducive to people who are visual learners. Many of us are kind of visual learners, and there's a lot of different ways that information is kind of shared in the online environment. It's not just like a straight lecture that you'd get like in the classroom in a typical standard in-class person environment. A lot of different modalities for teaching. Let's see. For our online classes too, the online classes, we keep all of our classes small, whether they're in person or online. So our online classes, I think they're right around 20 students or so. And that's similar to our on-ground classes. And the courses themselves are taught by the very same people who teach our day undergraduate and our graduate programs. So they're the same professionals that we see in our traditional setting. If you're thinking about maybe technical challenges, if maybe you're not computer savvy, the one thing I think that online learning has come a long way with the different platforms. We use a platform called Canvas, and it is very user-friendly. It's something that probably there are probably a small handful that are seen as industry standards, and Canvas is one of them. So if you feel like you're not technically savvy, or this is something that is too futuristic for you, I'll just tell you right now, it probably is not. Even if you think you're coming from, if you're a non-traditional learner, it's something that I think modicum of skills to get you through. And we also have technical assistance dedicated to our online learners. So that's not a problem. So the way the program works is it's year-round, 10 weeks per term, fall, winter, spring, and summer. And so the timing for the program is the same as it would be for the on-ground in-person class setting. And just that you're taking less classes per term, but those terms are shorter. So it's actually like you get to focus a little bit more on the classes that you're taking. This does give you some flexibility in terms of taking classes. Again, if you think about 40 classes to graduate, you average about 10 classes per academic year. That ends up being about 2.5 classes per term. So you're taking anywhere from 2 to 3 classes per 10 weeks. And if you keep on that schedule, you'll be done in 4 years. If you wanted to try and ramp that up, you can try and get classes more per term and try and accelerate. Or if things come up, you have the flexibility within your schedule to try and, maybe there's a term that isn't good, you have to travel or work or something like that, you can do that also. And we have people who are dedicated advisors to our students in that program. So if you have any questions about getting classes or enrolling in classes, registering, we have admissions counselors, or I'm sorry, advisors who can help you with that. So, all right, I'm going to go to Shauna, but just, sorry, just a second here. If you just joined us and you're using the Zoom, the Zoom program, all you have to do is go to the bottom if you have any questions for us and press the Q&A or the chat function, and then we'll be able to answer any questions you may have. Okay. So why don't we move on to Shauna here. Shauna can talk about admissions and financial aid.
All right, thank you, Joe. So our application process for our online program is pretty simple. You would apply online, and then there is a $25 application fee. Once that's received, what we would need next is your transcript. So if you're a student coming straight out of high school, we would need an official high school transcript. If you're in the military, a joint services transcript would be sufficient. Or for our transfer students, a college transcript. And then once we receive that college transcript, we can determine what classes you've completed at your previous institution that will apply towards your degree at Chaminade. So if you are one of those people who maybe started a degree a few years ago but never had the time to finish it, we can definitely work with you and try and get that completed in a bachelor's degree here at Chaminade. We have classes offered in the evening as well. So if you prefer a face-to-face on our military bases at Schofield, Tripler, and Pearl Harbor, you can take classes in the evening. And then we do offer financial aid for our online and evening students. And all you would have to do is complete the FAFSA. So that's the free application for federal student aid. Once we receive that, we'll be able to determine what student loans or grants you're eligible for and apply that to the program. The tuition for the program is very affordable. So it can range from $250 for our active military to $500. So it's a great value for the education that you're receiving. And our dependents could also receive tuition discounts. So we can work with you in determining your eligibility for those things as well. So please let us know how we can help you through this process. Back to you, Joe.
Okay, now we'll open up for questions and answers here. And I see one question here. Will I be able to take classes on base as a civilian? Shauna, maybe you want to take that one?
Sure. So yes, you can take classes on the base as a civilian. So we'll work with the base to get you a pass so that you can do that. The only one that's a little stricter about issuing passes is our Pearl Harbor base, but we can still, with given enough time, work on getting a base pass for you.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I don't see any other questions and answers right now. All right. Well, if you have a question, I guess we'll stay on here a couple minutes here in case people are trying to get their thoughts together on questions or trying to type things in. Okay, so we got a question here. How long will it take it to complete a degree? Again, this is usually about the same length as it would be in our traditional program, on average 4 years. That's if you took the average amount of classes per term. You could try and accelerate this, and if you took 3 classes per term, you could try and get it down to a little bit, like even a little bit less than 3.5 years. Or if you took the minimum 2 classes for full time, that would bring you out to 5 years. But it's the same length of time. All right, we got another question. Shauna, do you see that question there? Got a question here. How much is tuition?
Perfect. So tuition can range from $250 per credit to $500 per credit. And it would just depend if you qualify for our military discounts. Our dependents of military could also receive these tuition discounts. And we can work with you on the documentation we would require to qualify for those.
All right, and then let's see, there's another question here. How many classes do most students take each semester? It would be 2 to 3 classes per semester. Again, these are in 10-week quarters. So there's usually about 10 weeks and then 2 to 3 weeks in between each quarter. And then if you, let's say on average, it's 40 classes to get your degree. We're talking about 10 classes per academic year. That ends up being about an average between 2 and 3. So that's what most students do. Again, if you need more, maybe there's a semester where you're away or work comes up or it just doesn't fit into your schedule, you could take that term off and then take an extra class the next 2 terms and still stay on track. So let's see.
Okay, I can take the next question.
Okay.
Question is, how do you apply and when is the next semester? So application process is very easy. You would just go online to complete our application. And then the online program is actually on a quarter system, but you still earn semester credit. So our next quarter will begin on October 1st with registration beginning on the 27th of August.
Okay, cool. We got a question here. Let's see. I've never taken an online class. How is that different from physically being in a classroom? Well, you know, it is different. You know, I teach both in the in-person on-ground classes, and then I teach in the online. And I can tell you from a professor perspective, I think the online environment, you kind of have to be a little bit more creative. On ground, you can rely on that kind of interaction, but if you want to make your class semi-interesting, you've got to do different modalities or different ways of teaching. So you try and employ different things like Zoom here, for instance, visual aids, things for people to read, just different ways of consuming some of these materials. And the way it breaks down, I think it will be like any other class. Depends on the professor. But for a 10-week class, they might break it up by week, and they'll give you assignments, things to read, things to watch. They might include some lecture material, that kind of stuff. And then, you'll have a week to do that. And there might be discussions or post boards where you have to contribute. But that's kind of the way it is. Like I said, it's good because it allows you to, as a student, to kind of walk into that classroom and say, for instance, you can't spend an hour each night, or you can't spend 2 hours every 3 or 4 nights in one shot. You can do like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And this allows you to do that, allows you to, it's what we call asynchronous. You can come in and leave when you need to. So that's probably the main stuff. Are there tutoring services available? Yes, we do have tutoring available online. And we also have our tutors here. And I think first off, we want to also make sure that you're communicating with your professor. I think your professor is your first line of defense here. And as an instructor who teaches in the online environment, I think as long as you have that communication with your professor, they're going to be able to either, one, help you without having to approach any tutoring. But then secondly, if you do need tutoring, they're going to be able to assist you in terms of how to get that help. And that we have help online. We also have tutoring services here that can help you out even through the distance. So that's no longer a problem. Is the online degree different than other degrees? No. And it doesn't show up as being any different either. So, I think some online degrees and some programs may have maybe not given the online programs in general a great reputation, but Chaminade, we teach our online courses the same as we do our day undergraduate or our in-person classes. So that's, again, we're fully accredited. And it's the same rigor as you would get in an in-class, in-person environment. Okay, question. On average, how much time should I dedicate each week to complete coursework? This is a little interesting because I can't give a definitive answer because this depends on the instructor. So I would imagine for my courses, what I expect and what I get aren't necessarily the same thing. But I would expect, depending on the week, for each week, anywhere from 5-6 hours, whether that involves reading stuff or watching stuff or replying to things. It might be a little bit more if there are assignments. So it depends on your writing skills too. If there's a paper that might require more. So like say, for instance, in 1 week, I may have people watch a documentary and then answer some questions or respond to it or comment on that documentary. If the documentary is like, say, an hour long and it takes you maybe an hour or two to write that response, in addition to doing your regular reading, it could be more than that. But I would say for me, maybe it averages about an hour each day. Again, but in the online environment, you can kind of spread that out however you see fit. And I think you have a little bit more latitude in the online program to do that. In the on-ground class, you come to class, you lose a little time in terms of just getting there, being there, all that kind of intermittent time in between. Online, once you log on, you can go straight to class. And once you log off, then you're at home, or you're at work. You're doing your life. So. Question here, are there textbooks or is all reading online? Usually these books we try, since this is an online environment, we try and make these available to you easily. So electronically or digitally, and your professor will definitely work with you to try and make sure that all those materials are accessible to you. We're not going to require you to go down to a library or go and try and pick up something hard copy. try and make it as seamless as possible for you, because you're here in the online program and we want to make that as online as possible, because that's why you're entering into this program, to try and, I think, for a lot of us, to make it a little bit easier for us. And Shauna might be able to comment on that. Shauna was an undergraduate here and a graduate. So Shauna went into the on-ground courses, did our in-person courses, and now as a working mother, I don't know, how would you think the online program might be a little bit easier or accessible to you now if you were to go do it again?
So definitely, if I were doing it again, the online program would be most beneficial to me and my schedule. Because right now I'm working full time, Monday through Friday, and then going home and being full-time mom. And so with the online program, I would be able to put the kids to sleep and then come back and do my schoolwork and not have to worry about, oh no, I have to make a class time, or I have to take off so that I can make these exams. All of that is all fit into the online format. So it's definitely doable for working people, for people wanting to finish up their degrees. And I definitely think that with the professors working with you and the advisors, it's definitely something that you can accomplish.
All right, and then we got a question. How do I register for classes each semester? Our registration process it's actually the same for all of our students. It is an online registration process. So even if you're on ground or if you're online, it's the same. And again, we have advisors who can help you register if you don't know what classes you need or how to do that. And we have people who can provide career assistance also, so if it gets to that point. But our main goal with all of our students is to try and keep them on time and keep them on a pace to graduate in a timely manner, or a manner that fits their schedule. So, all right. Okay, let's see. What are some common problems students in online classes face? I'm not sure about registration or admission. If I were to think about, when I teach my classes, if there's any one problem that has come up recently, and even this might have been more of a problem in the past, but even now it's even less of a problem. It might be trying to view something in that class. So say, for instance, there's a video and then they go to play it and it doesn't show up. Now that even just from 2 or 3 years ago, technology has become more kind of streamlined, and even I get those kinds of issues very rarely now. And when I do, I know exactly, I'll say, hey, maybe you need to just try a different web browser. Your browser, whatever browser you're using, might not be compatible. And that solves it probably about 95% of the time. But that's the only kind of technical issue I've kind of come across. It's very, very rare nowadays. When online learning came out, a couple decades ago, you would get those types of issues a lot more often. And I would say in the last 5, 6, 7 years, technical things have gone down tremendously. Are there any other problems that you see, Shauna, in terms of admissions or registration, signing up for classes?
So we've actually tried to work on the policies and the procedures that we use for our online students and really streamline things. So it is pretty simple now. And if you have any problems, we're definitely here and willing to help you through that process too.
Okay, looks like I think this is probably the last question I see here. What is the application fee and how long do I have to get a refund if this doesn't work for me?
Okay, so the application fee is $25. And with the refund process, depending on when you decide the class is not working out for you, there is a system set up on a percentage once we've started school that you would receive back. So it really just depends on when you make that decision, but it is still possible to get a refund prior to the ad drop date.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't see any other questions. So, Shauna, thank you for joining me and helping answer these questions. Before we leave, I just want to thank you folks for coming in and watching. What I'm going to do is on our way out, I'm going to post up the place to get information. If you have more questions, you can use that online address or you can call us at those. So, and again, feel free to call us or email us. And if you have something directly you want to ask me or Shauna directly, feel free to do that in your comment or in your question. So thank you again for joining us, and hope to see you soon.